initiated into psyche as being, then both spirit and matter are aspects of the psyche. One's, we nowadays we think spirit's internal and matter is external. No. They're both aspects of being in communication with one another. One of the greatest mysteries facing physics is what is matter? And gradually, through their mathematics, it's all in the wrong format, but you can read it to get the soul matter. They're coming around to the idea that matter is something that happens in field theory. Fields first, matter second. And that's the modern way of talking about spirit and matter. That matter somehow comes out of spirit. They're saying matter comes out of fields, invisible fields, mathematical fields, producing. Well, that's the modern variation on the very ancient idea that spirit comes first and matter comes out of that. Very old archetypal idea, and that's a modern formulation of it, but it's still an absolute mystery because we're not getting that both spirit and matter, or fields and objects, matter, material objects, belong to being. They're aspects of being, something being is doing within itself, and we just haven't got the language for that.
It seems the more
they're not separate. One's not inner and the other one outer. It's not like that.
It seems to be the more we know about the quantum world, or the more people often say now that the matter's just empty, like everything's just empty. Yes, that's right. And then you come to the problem of emptiness.
Yeah. So my book, called Light Matter, is my exploration of spirit and matter, or light and matter, and how there's a profound mystery involved there. But to think of them as one's inner, like inner thoughts, inner spirit, and matter's outer, we touch, it's the sense perceptible world, we touch it and there's no spirit there, is a dogma.
Mm-hmm.
that they belong together in our thinking, in our languaging, but we just haven't got it. We haven't got the language. You have to be initiated into it.
Well, the part about the language would be key in the sense that past traditions, they've sort of known that it's all
exactly. But we can't use their language.
Mm-hmm.
Further refinements required. For example, the reason that one could go to a Asclepian temple in ancient Greek times, there was a ritual that lasted thousands of years, I think, the Asclepian dream incubation temple, where if you had a physical affliction, you could go to the Asclepian temple, and the priests there, they were called therapeutes, which leads to therapeutic, but the therapeutes would lead you into the temple, and all they would do is make you comfortable on a bed and let you go to sleep. Then, if you were fortunate, you'd be visited by Asclepius, usually in his form as a snake. The snake would bite the afflicted part of the body. They've got around on the inside of the temple, they've got carvings of these matters, and the snake would bite the afflicted part, and the person would wake up healed. Now, how is that possible? Physically healed. How is that possible? Well, I know it's possible because I've had dreams where I've slipped into that kind of consciousness and it's happened, so I know that. But I also know that consciousness is historical, because at that time they could make that healing ritual work because bodies were already inspirited and spirit was already material. So the connection was already, they weren't sundered. So one could work in one domain, could work on the other. It's very ancient, but our bodies really were different, and spirit was really different too. Spirited bodies. I mean, the way we understand that this is true is good to look at the documentation, the poems by Homer, for example, when they talk about an easy interchange between body and spirit, easy interchange in language, in the language he uses in his poetry. That tells you that they're all body and mind, or body and spirit, are already interwoven in a way that we can't understand today. So healing practices, shamanic practices, arose with that background foundation, so they could influence each other. Today, as I wrote in that essay, our reality is far more complicated, and how does a shaman or how does a healing ritual get in tune with that? It's really difficult. That's why our healing practice don't bother. They just deal with the anatomical body. They don't bother what's going on inwardly. I mean, you can get on well with doctors as long as you conform with what they want to do. But if you offer an opinion or a feeling or something, it's just, okay, let's get on. There's no interest, no training. And that's important, because they're modern. They're dealing with the physical, the material spirit split, and so they're just focusing on the material. And if you want spirit, then you go to woo-woo land. The marginal practices, the psychics, what's generally relegated to the margins to get some attention there, or to therapists.
I'd like to do another session just purely on that article. If you don't mind, there's a few little other points. If you don't mind, there was one dream two things. When I was reading the book, I couldn't help but get a sense of how animals, they can sense danger before humans. And they'll often sort of run away before the volcano or before the tsunami hit or something like that. And I was sort of getting that sort of sensation from the dream, from the books. I wonder if you experience. I guess that's the sort of end of the world sort of animal. Getting a sense of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. And
I think the emergency of our situation is producing being or psyche wants to respond to that by reintroducing human beings who are available for this to be initiated into animal presence again. Through my own experiences, I absolutely convinced that because I've had powerful animal dreams of the kind of the Asclepian temple, where spirit has penetrated matter. So, for example, I've had dreams where an animal presence, I quote this in the imperative, a wolf-like being, I could see it, and came into me. I was in the hypnagogic state, came into me and took me over so I could actually feel my nose elongating, a growl, teeth, fur. I could feel it coextensive with my human being, but it was just as real. And a growl at a low note that I could never achieve as a human being. But and what it wanted. So what's it want by doing that? What it wanted was to use my sensory system, which was still available to me too, so I could experience what was going on from the human side. But there was also this animal being that was looking around the room through my senses, but with its animal intelligence. And what an experience that was. You know, I've had quite a lot like that, where you have to think in terms of coextensive. That the animal material presence and my material presence co-extensively existed in this hypnagogic state, so that he could use my eyes, or the animal, I've had eagles too, this is another example, could use my senses to explore the world, while I also looked through and could pray. I couldn't influence what was going on, but I could like remember it, for example. And I think that is a response to the emergency we were in, to awaken the reality of the animal presence, but at this level, at this new level of reality. That seems to be a possible future. It's different from the future that technology is offering us. It's very much becoming a different kind of human being, one that includes the wild animal presence again. And I don't think that's a relic of the past. I think it's a movement towards the future based on the extinction of the real animals at the rate. I think there might be a counter movement to awaken their presence within us. So this is all very mysterious and uncertain, but that's where I'm going with it.
The second thing I was going to talk about was just a dream. I can't remember how long ago, probably around 4 to 5 years ago, and it was just simply I was a bear, and all I was doing was just sort of nothing aggressive, not just sort of nosing about, and I really just remember the physicality of it, getting up and then even scratching up against a tree, and I just clearly remember the smell, the how I would move, and just that. And even after that, I think, for a little bit of context, I think it was after I had learned that my family, especially on the mother's side, they would have the men would have Bjorn, which means bear, in their sort of their middle name. So that's I like that idea, and shortly after I had that dream.
The thing about animal dreams, it's I think the key to the wisdom of the dream is by soaking up the sensual aspect, like you did. I told you my bear dream, lying on the couch, which is similar. The initiatory aspect of the dream can be gained by soaking up the sensual experience of the dream bear, just to soak it up as being as real as anything else, and one that because that's working at the level of the body, that way we're expanding our notion of what the human is. If we include that as a sensual reality, like the capacity to perceive the world as the bear, that can start to become more conscious. But you first of all, you have to soak it up. Immerse yourself in the memory of it, and then your perceptions start to change.
It's interesting. I remember just in the days after or weeks after, I just remember just even in waking life, just reimagining what. just sort of putting my mind or attention or
that's right, and you know if you know you're there when in waking life you might get sometimes only momentary, sometimes for a little bit longer, that the bear or the wolf or some other animal presence is actually woken up and perceiving things. You're perceiving things that way. You're perceiving what a wolf would perceive. You're perceiving what a bear would perceive. So it's interested in certain things, and other things that's nothing to do with bareness. So once you start to, an experience like that can initiate you, and you can start to catch up to it in waking life. You can start to realize, like there's a certain animal for me that under certain circumstances it kicks in, and I know he's present, and I have to be careful because it's perceiving something that only that animal would perceive, and it's time to be quite alert. So, but it's happening more in waking life now, that under certain conditions, that I can, and sometimes in our sessions with Anita and a couple, she'll make a remark afterwards that will signal to me that that animal actually spoke. Use my vocal cords to speak it, because the reaction people get. Like in one couple, we were talking, and I could feel the presence, and it spoke, and the woman was just absolutely shaken out of her usual way of doing things. She said, "Oh, what did you say?" And it's best if I don't say it again, because it's not me, it's not the human. But there are occasions like that where that's, as Anita tells me too, where I'm saying things from another corner of the universe, and it shakes things up, and we go in a totally different direction. But that came out of initial experiences of just soaking up the presence.
Lovely. Maybe for another discussion, I want to talk about these in-between worlds and sort of their...
Well, as I said, the surrealists. Actually, I'll give you a little book to read that talks about the immense interest in the hypnagogic state.
Yeah. Even
in that time.
I was just reading 2 nights ago the part in Memories, Dreams and Reflections, where Jung's talking about his presentation on hypnotherapy of a paraplegic woman or someone who couldn't walk or something, and he didn't know what the hell he was doing, and boom, but then he didn't use it afterwards because he just didn't.
That's the moral man.
The moral man, yeah.
Absolutely. Went through a period like that in Seattle myself, where when these events were happening at a rapid rate, and when I walked into a classroom to teach, or to a lecture, or to a presentation, I knew things were happening physically in the room that had something to do with the energies in me, but I couldn't control it, so I stopped it all. Ceased. I was quite well known in Seattle for giving lectures and presentations at the Jung Society and working at Antioch. I stopped it all because I knew I wasn't in control.